everyone. Welcome to Be an Artist. I'm here today with Marta Gornitzka, and she's studying at the Guildhall School of Music. Hi, Marta. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Petra.
You're currently a student, but you came to studying jazz a little bit later in life. You didn't start straight away out of high school. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into college and how you picked the decision to go to college?
Sure. Well, that's quite a story. So I've started learning about jazz when I went to high school first, and it wasn't really like in much depth. It was much more about learning about kind of artistic song and like kind of cabaret style almost, because I did a bit of theater and drama when I was in high school, and then I really wanted to study music from my childhood and like teenage years, but it never really happened. So like when I was 18, I joined this course that I'd never finished because it was super expensive, and like I couldn't afford to like continue a year. And my friend convinced me to come to London, and I was just like, no, I really struggle, but I really want to finish this course. Like, it's something that I'm really into, and like I feel like I can be quite good at it. And he's just like, but you really don't have money, like come to London. It's as if London will give me money, like, you know. So actually, like, he bought me a one-way ticket, and I came to London. And obviously, like, I was super shocked because, like, coming from Poland, like even from like a major city, coming to London, it's like night and day. It's completely different. So like I kind of started looking for a job, and that didn't go well for a couple of weeks, and then I finally kind of got settled into like, standard artist job, hospitality and cafes and stuff, and I carried that through. And then I joined one of the like evening courses in Morley College, and that's how I met Keris Hogg. Then she tutored me later on, and I've started working in the Canvas Cafe, I think, and that's how we met, because I've organized like a very impromptu jam sessions there, because I was really like keen to like meet musicians and like connect and network, and like I was trying to be really proactive with that. And well, and it was kind of like an error, like trial and error, isn't it? Like I was trying to do that, and that kind of failed because I had no idea about like how to promote it and how to manage it and how to do all these things. It was just like more coming from like, my heart, and I wanted to do something. And then I don't know, it's just like I was floating around London for about good 5-6 years. And I was thinking to myself, when I was like 26 or something, I was like, well, what do I want to do? Like, it's going to take me ages to like kind of practice and like get my skill together to be able to perform and to be able to be like a professional artist. But also like studying in London is so expensive. So I was kind of trying to figure out the way. So like I was working like sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and I was like putting money aside for my lessons. And then I was learning a bit of piano and voice, and like it was like really, because like I never had like a formal musical training. So like all of a sudden I found myself in a situation that there was so much knowledge that I didn't have for like 10 years, that I was kind of not handing on, God, what's the word? Holding on to little bits of knowledge, a bit of rhythm, a bit of harmony, a bit of piano, a bit of singing, a bit of technique, a bit of everything. And then I was just like, okay, I've got to do something about this. And I think I started talking about my friends then, that, like obviously because of the jam session, I started meeting new friends and new musicians. And I talked with them, and they were just like, oh, maybe I will do postgrad at the Trinity or the Guildhall or whatever. And I started thinking like, why don't I think about those things? Like obviously like they've got parents and they've got some more support. and leg to stand on, like on that side. But I'm just like, I'm sure that there are people who are going to universities and kind of manage. So I figured out, and because I was already here for 5 years or longer than 5 years, I was eligible to apply for my student finance. And then I was just like, oh my God, I actually can apply for a loan to go to uni and to like pursue what I wanted to do. So yeah, that was it really. I was just like, when I came to London, like I was just like, oh, I was thinking, when I was 21 or 22, I was just like, oh, I think I'm too old to go to university, like it's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna be good enough. And it was just kind of like a Cinderella dream, And then like 5 years later, I was just like, okay, so let me just put this together and see what can I do to actually see if I'll be able to get in, and then kind of I shifted my mindset from I have to do this, this is the only thing that I can do, to like, no, let me audition and see if they're actually gonna be interested, and then I figure stuff on the way. And that's what happened. Like I wasn't really like ready, or like I wasn't even thinking that like I'll get in.
I think it's a really important thing you said, was that you thought at 21 years old that you might be too old to start a degree. People grow up with the thought, if you want to be an artist or a dancer or a singer, you have to start when you're 3 years old. And if you didn't start when you're 3 years old, everything is already over.
Yeah,
it's a very
it's not true. It's never true. And like, even if I feel like that, often we think of this artistry thing as like some kind of very spiritual, God-given thing that we've got, and like if you're on the top, top one of 20 years, prima ballerina, that means that you made it. But there is so many different things that you can do within the art. Well, I'm going to call it industry, but sometimes it's not really industry, because there needs to be a lot of money to be industry. And sometimes we're doing stuff for free. Sometimes for the passion. But, my auntie used to dance as well when she was like a teenager. And then she got married, and then life happened, and she stopped dancing to kind of take care of her kids. And she never, she was really talented, and like she went abroad for like some workshops, and then they asked her if she wanted to stay a year because she was good enough to kind of continue into the full program. And then she finally found some time when the kids were older, and she did like a choreography, not degree, but like 2-year course, I think. So like kind of, I don't know how it's like certificate, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's a dance instructor now in Belgium. So like, it's all kind of possible. And like, I think like you need to be very realistic in the way that you think about yourself as an artist, that you might not be like, I don't know, Madonna or like Michael Jackson, but there's gonna be enough space for you to do your work and create your art and inspire other, I think. Art and inspire other, I think.
That's great. That's a great thing to say. Also, there's so many, what you bring to the table is what you bring to the table. There's not one thing of how to touch people's souls, it's like people come to see a concert because you're Marta, ideally not because they like a singer. You don't buy an album of a saxophone player. You're gonna buy an album of Pharoah Sanders or like John Coltrane or whoever inspires you. You're not. It's not the job; it's the person behind the job that you're connected with.
That is so true. Yeah.
Another really interesting thing that you just said is you started your own jam session because you worked at the Canvas Cafe, and that's actually where we met. And that was actually my first jam session I've ever gone to as a tap dancer. So
exciting.
I know, it's crazy. It's like your jam session for me opened so many doors, because first of all I met you, and then it was Michael Seal on bass, who yeah, and then I became friends with Michael Seal. Just off this jam session, we exchanged numbers and we kind of kept in touch. He took me to a few further jam sessions where I just became a regular at all these jam sessions. And for me, it was really important because there was not so many tap dancer friendly jam sessions out there that I knew. So your jam session opened so many doors also in my life, which is crazy because I just went literally. I think I messaged you like on the same day, if because I saw it on the Facebook events, because I live quite close to the area, so it was like within the 2 mile radius or whatever Facebook suggests you. And I messaged you, I think, on the same day. It's like, hi, do you allow tap dancers? And you're like, yeah, of course. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like, you just come.
that was
We can
amazing.
give it that.
No,
Oh,
that
I
was
had no idea.
yeah,
I had no idea. That is such a great story. I'll
yeah.
keep.
No, but you know, you build something, but you never know how many people you affect with what you build. And I think it's really important to also acknowledge that entrepreneurship is also really important as an artist because, as you said, you didn't know what you wanted to do, like, or how to do it. You didn't really know how to promote it, but you had this one advantage. You worked in this coffee shop that had a room downstairs that made it possible for you to create this jam session. And I think that's just really important because obviously after you come out of school, after you graduate, you're gonna have to be entrepreneurial as well. And I know you kind of always had gigs out of your own back. Do you want to talk a little bit? No, because I follow you and I was like, damn, like
Last year.
you're my role model because I always see you do things and I'm like, oh my god, I better, I better start emailing people.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
that
I'm
is so
so
nice
serious.
for you to say. Really. Oh God.
Do you want to talk a little bit about you as a creator of things?
There are some people that come to me and asking me like, how do you get gigs? And I've got like literally like I've got no idea what I'm doing most of the time. Like it's just like I'd think, oh, this place might be nice for having a gig, and I'd be like emailing them. I'd be like, hey, I don't know if you're actually interested, but here's some stuff that I'm doing. Like maybe we can get in touch and talk about this. And often people are much more likely to respond than we think. Obviously, like if you're like one of these hustlers, that just goes and hustles for gigs, like you're gonna go to 100 places and then maybe 3 are gonna get back to you and say, yeah, let's have a gig. But I think, like, to be fair, like I was really lazy with like finding gigs. Like it's not like I've been mailing plenty people and just like really hustling for it. Like I know people who actually do that and they get much more gigs than I ever did. But I kind of talk to people and like connect with them. I think that's how it is. So I used to work in this other place just before I went to Guildhall. And I became friends with a person who then moved on to work in another coffee place, and they were just like, oh, why don't we put some live jazz? And like we tried it, it was like in between pandemic, like lockdowns and pandemics. So like we've kind of had our first gig, I think in June last year or somewhere when the restrictions kind of got lifted. And then in November, so we had like 2 or 3 gigs there, maybe in August as well. But it kind of works like this, that like a lot of this kind of thing is the word of mouth. And I feel like because I'm kind of like, I'm really talkative and like I'm really kind of excited about people, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. And often like I'll get very excited about like doing stuff with people and doing stuff with projects, and sometimes nothing happens from it, but it's just like, kind of like this, oh yeah, let's do it, and then nobody follows it up and maybe it doesn't happen. But sometimes people do follow up and people want to do stuff, and then the gigs are happening. And I feel it's really difficult because I don't know how to be, I've never went to like business school or like how to run your business and how to be an entrepreneur. And like this kind of, to be fair, like using those kind of words kind of scares me, because it feels for me like you have to be like so organized and so like on the top of everything that you're doing, like have everything in. And I'm quite messy with these things, like I enjoy talking to people and I enjoy this and that and the other, but like often like sometimes like I would not read a description of the gig properly, and then like I would just like think that it might be like a half an hour earlier or half an hour that finish a half an hour earlier, and then I'm just like, oh, we actually have to play for half an hour more, which is never a problem. But sometimes I'm like, you know, like I'll send everything to people with the right information, but sometimes I'll be like all over and like my head in the cloud and being like, I don't really know what's happening. So I feel like I might come across much more organized than I actually feel like I am. But maybe it's enough. I don't know.
Well, it
You
seems
know,
to be working, so
I don't know. Like I feel like I might come across more organized than I feel in my head I am, you know, because like my thoughts are just like this, you know, going up and down, like things like, oh, I need to email this person and this person. And then I feel like it's never the time that I'm just like, okay, it's Monday morning, 10 o'clock. I'll sit in front of my computer and I'll email people for an hour. It's more like, oh, throughout the day, like I'm waiting for a bus, like, oh, I quickly email back this person. And like, I don't know, like some people have different systems as well, I feel. So with like managing your schedule is kind of a personal thing, isn't it? Like some people are gonna have like an hour each day that they're going to spend on like doing the paperwork and like admin and stuff. And some people are just like more like me, that in between, you know, waiting for your rice to cook, they're gonna just do it.
you came to London, you didn't know that many people, right? You had like one or two friends, you said.
I didn't have any friends. The
Oh,
friends that I came to move in, well, I moved in with my friends, but they completely on jazz and music. Like, you know, one of them it's an IT programmer, something like I have something to do with computers. And then yeah, so
so all
they
the kind of connections you have with musicians, you built fresh, like just by talking to people at jam sessions and stuff like that.
yeah pretty much that
Right?
yeah.
Amazing. Can you tell us a little, maybe, what the week at Guildhall School of Music looks like? Just in case somebody's watching that's thinking about applying to music college. What's the student experience like?
It's different each week, I'd say. So like you're gonna have like blocks of classes that are gonna happen every week or every other week. So mostly you're gonna have like small ensembles that we call combos, when you like work on the material and then you've got like little assessments by the end of the term. So you've got two of those throughout the 2 terms, and then the summer term is not happening. Then you've got like in the first year you've got like rhythm classes, when you've got like working on placements of your rhythm and like subdivisions and stuff. And then you've got world of rhythm that kind of includes all world music in it. And then obviously you've got your one-to-ones that you have to kind of schedule on your own and kind of be on the top of it. And then what else? Like instrumentalists have like the rhythm section classes and such, and the singers have like vocal performance and choir.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got like 3 vocal ensembles. So like Guildhall is super heavy on like having singers and having like a really lovely community of people who are just want to sing together and you know, make music. Let me think, let me just scan my schedule. So in second year now, and second and third, we've got arranging as well as conducting, and like, so like all forms of musicianship are kind of closed up in that, I think it's an hour and a half or 2 hours class every week, 2 hours. And then blah 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 blah, we've got improv classes and like academic work to do as well, so like writing essays, but also like talking about like approaches of improvisation and way to practice. And then throughout the term we've got like different projects. So like sometimes we would have a project with, I don't know, I think we've got a project with Ian Bellamy in May.
Mm-hmm.
Norma Winston, and then they would take a big band and a choir, or just a choir and a rhythm section, and then they would put like a program together with a guest artist. Mm-hmm. And this year it was postponed from last year, but they just did Beatles Reimagined. So if anybody's watching it and fancies some juicy arrangements of Beatles tunes, some of my friends were involved in that, and I didn't watch it yet, but I will. But it's like I saw some snippets and it sounds good. So it was with orchestra, so that was like a collaboration between jazz and classical department. So it's quite regular, but also it's not. So like if anybody like wants to work and stuff, like I usually put like I can work in the weekends, but like I can't promise you anything within the week. So like often like I'd have like one class and then like the whole day off, you know, either in the evening or in the morning. But yeah, it's quite, you know, like it's really heavy on like your own practice and your own input as well. So like you obviously have to go to classes, but there is enough time for you to like do your thing.
During COVID, did you have to move online at any point?
I mean, Guildhall stayed opened for as long as they possibly could. So we did the first lockdown. It happened by the end of the second term, so the whole of the third term was online. And then we came back, and then in January we had to go back online. But between September and January, all of the classes, all of the one-to-ones, most of the one-to-ones, because some teachers obviously like travel from Bristol, from some other cities to stay in London for a couple of days when they're teaching, so they stayed online. Some of the like electronic music or like theory classes stayed online, because that was just easier way to manage it like that, with, you know, 20 people in the room. But ensembles were happening, and choir was happening. So like all the practical stuff that it's really necessary to be in the same room, in the same space, and in the same time, that was happening. So like Guildhall, especially jazz department, I can't speak for classical department, but the jazz department really pushed for any experience that we might be missing because we're not in the building. They really opened the doors for like having master classes with people from Take 6, and like Claire Wheeler, like head of vocal department, organized to record remotely with New York Voices. So like there is plenty happening that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do, you know, because like flying New York Voices from the States to London, it would be just too expensive. Yeah. So, you know, so it like they really do a great job in my opinion of like giving us opportunities that we're losing, but we wouldn't have otherwise, you know. So like I feel like they kind of really try to balance things on there.
That's
amazing. I'm rambling
now. No, it's really interesting. That's cool. Do you, I mean, it's good to know that you also benefited from it, because I think I always try to not be in this victim mentality, because the situation is what it is. You can't really change it. So it's good to hear that a lot of places making the best out of it, or even creating opportunities that they wouldn't have had. I think I watched Guildhall had like a theater production online, like a live, not a live stream, but a stream of a theater production they did, and I was just thinking, man, they're so lucky. They get all this really high quality footage. They already have their show reels sorted right out of college.
We are lucky with the Guildhall. It's like, yeah. I mean, like obviously, like everywhere there could be something better done in this situation, in the pandemic or stuff, but like I feel like jazz department really is getting creative with things that they're doing and they're offering, because like I had a bit of a victim mentality when it all started. I was just like, oh, I've been working so hard for this, and like I've waited so many years and I have to learn music from behind the screen, you know. But it kind of, I don't know, like when they kind of threw all these master classes and all these amazing people to ask questions and to kind of just like listen to what they have to say, it was really inspiring. So I was just like, no, wait, I'm gonna be positive about this. Yeah.
Do you write your own music as well?
I'm really trying to get into, actually, like I had to kind of. So basically, like I had to write some music for some of the classes. And I find this process really painful in a way, because like I've got this mentality of kind of second guessing myself every step of the way, being like, oh, I wrote this note, but is that really the note that I meant? Is that a good note? And without the context, it's just a note, you know. But like, yeah, so like I really struggled, and like sometimes I would go to my friends or my boyfriend and I'd be like, can you actually help, can you listen first and see what you think? And then often like they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, but maybe you can change and tweak this one. The biggest problem for me is lyrics, you know. I'm trying to write in English, and I found some exercising books, and I'm trying to do creative writing, so like kind of very imaginary scenarios. When you've got like one word and you set yourself like a simple exercise that you've got one word and you write about this word for 5 minutes, whatever comes to mind, and without, you know, having any judgment. Because I feel as artists, like we can be very judgmental about what we're producing and what we're offering to people, and being like, is that good enough? Is anybody want to watch it? Does anybody is going to want to watch it? And like, does anybody actually gonna like it? And we kind of get ourselves like in a prison almost of what others are gonna think about this. And like, it's really good to kind of get your creativity out there, even if it's just for the cupboard. I feel like it's very like eye-opening. You can see like what kind of, and it's the same with like jazz improvisation and stuff. So like record yourself and then listen back and see what stuff do you repeat, and like what are your patterns that you usually go for, and try to break it and try to practice things that are slightly out of your comfort zone. And like, I know that it sounds super like musically oriented, but it's not, because like, even I'm sure that even as a dancer, you still, you know, find things that you're not very comfortable about, and like, you know, and you've got something that you're really strong, you feel very strongly and comfortable with. So like going for things that you'd normally not go for, and like not necessarily when you're in the zone and when you're improvising on a gig, you know, then like let yourself go and just do it. But when you practice, kind of try to analyze what you're doing, or what words you're writing, and what kind of patterns you're repeating, what kind of imaginary you're going for in your writing, and then kind of try to change it up. And so like, it's like learning the language, isn't it? So like, instead of using the same words all over again, just kind of try to expand your vocabulary. I feel, you know, like, oh my god, it's so like existential, but it's kind of, it's like this with everything in life. I feel, you know, like if you want to learn how to cook, you know, you start with your scrambled eggs, and then, you know, you add something to it and you make an omelette, but you have to know how to cook the onions to make an omelette.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If you look at the artist you are, or you want to be, what do you want your message to be to the world, or do you even have a message to the world?
God, this is so much pressure on me now.
So-
I feel like the simplest message that I can send to the world is just do it, and like enjoy it, because you don't necessarily have to like make your 100% income from being an artist. Not many of us do, you know. Like if I've been talking to some people, and this is quite heavy, but I'm gonna say it because I think it kind of blows up delusion about what being an artist might mean. And you know, like if you're a successful artist and like you have a, I don't know, you signed a contract with a label, and like you're recording album after album and they all sell out and stuff, often you might end up not doing the thing that you want to do in the first place, and like you might lose a sense of self in a way, because like you're just doing things, you're just producing things for money making machine, and then on the other hand, like when you're not making enough money from your art, you might feel like, oh, I'm not artist enough, because like, not enough of my income is a part of, my earnings. But being an artist is just much more than like making money. So like you don't have to make money to like kind of call yourself an artist, like I can't draw, and that doesn't stop me from doing it. That doesn't mean that I'm just like some kind of visual artist all of a sudden, but like I'm trying little bits, like every picture is slightly better, or I don't know, it's one of those things that everybody has to find a personal balance about, how much of an artist and how much of a creator you want to be. And some people have more creative minds than the other, and that's fine. That's fine. Like if you have a mind for playing function gigs and playing the same repertoire all of the time, then that's fine. You've got a great brain and personality for that, then there's nothing wrong with this, and if you want to go and play, some free jazz every night and, explore making different sounds, do you see what I mean? Like that's also fine, like as you said before, like you have to find your niche and find the thing that you feel very comfortable with, and then just go for it. Because you've got only one life, and kind of making yourself a victim of the past it's not gonna help. It's not gonna make a change, it's just gonna make you feel more miserable every year. But like, like people were laughing, I just got myself a roller skates, because I was just like, oh, I wish I could actually like go and skate like all these people. It was like, I think like it was very
4 wheels
with 4 wheels, yes.
Wow.
Like and I used to skate, like ice skate a little, and like rollerblades were really comfortable for me because they're quite similar, but I put them yesterday on and I had no idea how to use them, and like, I got myself like a nice wheels with LED lights in it, so like it kind of shines when I use them, and it's just one of this. I'm never gonna be a professional skater. I can get better. And I think it's the same thing with the art, you like if you don't have your mind on being a professional artist, then just go for it, and if you do want to be a professional artist, then find the skills and find the tools that you need to understand how to create something that's valuable, and valuable not in a sense of like how much money is it worth, but how much it can connect with other people, because this is the value of the art, not money, but how can we connect with others, I think. God, I'm talking so much. I'm gonna drink some water. Rumble.
No, that was a really good conversation, and I think it's a really good place to stop, because yeah, I like what you said last. I think it's important for me. It was always important that I stay human whilst being an artist, to still experience everything in the world, like to still be engaged in like what's happening in politics, to still have interests outside of what I do. And yeah. So is there anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I mean, like if you've got questions, I can go for another 3 hours probably.
Well, we can have you back.
Once I get started, I can barely stop.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. That was really fun, and that's really important, I think, to talk about these things, because being an artist means something else for each of us, and that's great. It's great to be different, and it's great to kind of just go for it and be yourself.